So in example 4, you were asked to do these various powers of I, and as we've discussed in the demonstration, all you need to do is take the exponent you see and divide it by 4, and that's going to tell you what the new remainder is going to be. So if I do 8 divided by 4, I get 2 with no remainder. That's the same thing as having I to the 0 power, which is something I didn't bring up a whole lot in the demonstration, but no remainder meant this is going to equal 1, and of course anything to the 0 power, including complex numbers, is going to be 1. So that's a rule that's still maintained even in complex numbers. 58 divided by 4, you get 14.5. That 0.5 tells you have a remainder of 2, which means this should equal I squared, and I squared, of course, is negative 1. 135, you would divide that by 4, you get 33.75, which indicates a remainder of 3. That means that this is equal to I cubed, and of course I cubed is the same thing as negative I. And lastly, I to the 633 power, you get 633 divided by 4, you get 158.25, which means you have a remainder of 1. That means you have I to the first power, or just I, and that's what the answer is, it's just I. For example 5, you were asked to add or subtract these various complex numbers. Adding, like A, is not that big of a deal because 6 plus 3i and 4 minus 7i, you could just drop the parentheses and just carry through the addition by combining like terms. So 6 plus 4 is 10, 3i minus 7i is a negative 4i, so you have 10 minus 4i as the answer. For B and other subtractions, you have to make sure that you could drop the parentheses on the first group, but the second group, you have to distribute that minus sign. So if you were to drop the parentheses, you have to distribute that negative sign, and you're going to have 18 minus 7i minus 6 plus 3i. 18 minus 6, of course, is 12. Negative 7i plus 3i is a minus 4i. And so you have 12 minus 4i as the solution. C's and other additions, so you could just drop the parentheses and you combine like terms. Negative 25 plus 35 is 10. Negative 8i minus 4i is a negative 12i. And so 10 minus 12i is the correct answer. For D, when you drop the parentheses on the second group, you distributed that negative. So you have negative 25 minus 8i minus 35 plus 4i. Negative 25 minus 35 is a negative 60. Negative 4i plus 4i is a minus 4i. So you have negative 60 minus 4i. In example 6, you're asked to multiply these complex numbers. So foiling out 2 minus 5i times 4 plus 7i, you get 8 plus 14i minus 20i minus 35i squared. The minus 35i squared becomes a plus 35. And so 8 plus 35 is 43. 14i minus 20i is a minus 6i, so 43 minus 6i is the correct answer. For B, if you FOIL that out, you get 80 minus 30i minus 16i plus 6i squared. The plus 6i squared becomes a minus 6. And so 80 minus 6 is 74. Negative 30i minus 16i is a minus 46i, so you have 74 minus 46i. Here's something interesting to look at. And this is something that we would talk about more if we were doing the divisions, because you would do something and use this fact. But these are conjugates. You have 11 plus 5i and 11 minus 5i. If you FOIL those out, you get 121 minus 55i plus 55i minus 25i squared. The minus 25i squared, of course, becomes a plus 25. But what happens here is 121 plus 25 gives you a 146. The minus 55i and plus 55i cancel. So you're just left with 146 as being the answer. Anytime you multiply conjugates together, which are the same two real and imaginary parts, except you have a plus in the one and a minus in the other, you're going to end up with a real number as a result. And real numbers are a part of the complex numbers, so this is still keeping this as a closed system. And of course, 6 plus 7i times 5 plus 3i. When you FOIL that out, you would get this. Of course, the plus 21i squared becomes a minus 21. So 30 minus 21 is 9. 18i plus 35i is 53i, so 9 plus 53i is the correct answer for this. And of course, the FOILing, when you square these, you're just going to have to rewrite them as 5 minus 4i times itself. You FOIL that out. the plus 16i squared does become a minus 16. So you end up with 25 minus 16, which is 9. Negative 20i minus 20i is and minus 40i. So 9 minus 40i is the answer. B, likewise, except the only thing that's different is you have a plus in here now. You get a lot of the same numbers involved. You still get a plus 16i squared here, which still becomes a minus 16, and 25 minus 16 is still 9, but this time you have a plus 40i as a result. 10 minus 7i squared, you're going to write that and FOIL that. This plus 49i squared is going to become a minus 49. 100 minus 49 is 51. Negative 70i minus 70i is a minus 140i. So 51 minus 140i is the solution. And D, 2 minus I times 2 minus I is what 2 minus I squared is. You end up with 4 minus 2i minus 2i plus I squared. Adding I squared is the same thing as subtracting 1. So you're going to end up with 3 minus 4i as the solution to this one. And so that is the end of example 7. That's the end of this video. If you have any additional questions, please make sure to bring them up during class.